Halo guys, bersama saya lagi dalam ORAITNOPO channel. So, ramai ya mungkin di antara Anda sahabat semua yang belum mendengar ya satu eksklusif interview bersama dengan Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. Jadi ini adalah sempena 50 tahun anniversary ya diplomatik hubungan antara China dengan Malaysia. Dan saya juga terfikir agaknya lah kalau Muhyiddin ataupun Abahcow ya yang berada di tempat ini sekarang pastinya akan lari dan tercirit-birit masuk gua. Mungkinlah. Ya, jadi apapun sahabat semua, saya ingin membawakan Anda eksklusif interview ini bersama dengan Perdana Menteri kita Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. Jadi tanpa buang masa, ayo kita tonton video ini.
Prime Minister Anwar, good to see you again. Well, it has been about a year since we last spoke. So how have you been and how's everything going?
Things are doing well. Thank you very much.
And this is your third China trip in the past 2 years since taking office. So what are some of the maybe new expectations or primary objectives for this trip particularly?
What is termed as strategic partnership or comprehensive? It's just policy commitments between two countries. But what I've seen is beyond that, the trust and the bond of friendship that is there. So we have, of course, to go to meaningful collaboration in various fields.
As you know, that this year marks the 50th anniversary of the bilateral relations between our two countries, and you have described China as a great friend and pointed out that the bilateral relations not only have a glorious past, but also a promising future. So, Mr. Prime Minister, how do you envision enriching the content and meaning of our bilateral tie in order to create what, in your words, another golden 50 years?
Well, our focus must remain the economic issues in terms of trade, investments. But this collaboration needs to be further enhanced because there are new areas, new fields of activity, including energy, green technology, new technology in terms of digitalization, AI, and etc., which in many ways China has excelled. But beyond that is also education, culture, research, and civilization, because this is a country that is they had a great civilization, and we in the region also have this interaction between the various cultures and civilization, and we see this new, the present attitude of the leadership in China, contrary to protectionism, arrogance of power, unilateralism. So you see this willingness to engage, understand other cultures, other values, other civilization. But the fundamental trait is the commitment to human values and justice.
Well, Malaysia is also one of the first countries to support China's Belt and Road Initiative. So how do you envision in enhancing the high-quality building of our two countries on the Belt and Road Initiative, despite our differences in terms of geographical conditions, economic environment, culture, and history?
You see, people do exaggerate differences. I don't particularly share that view because so many things in common. We are familiar with even Chinese culture, language, or philosophy, and in terms of their participation, initial contribution, for example, the East Coast Railway project,
yes,
is doing extremely well, and it's a huge project, and we will, of course, benefit this one example, but then we have other initiatives still being proposed. But the programs, of course, covers a wide range, education, I said, research. Exchanges are huge. We thought that with the huge interest in digital and AI and semiconductor in Malaysia, we need to upskill our workers. So we did request for additional opportunity for our young to be exposed to Chinese technology and training, and we were welcome.
2024 marks the 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between China and Malaysia, as well as the China-Malaysia Friendship Year. Over the past 5 decades, bilateral ties have flourished. Since the elevation of the relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership in 2013, the scale of cooperation between the two nations has grown exponentially. As of 2024, the bilateral trade volume between China and Malaysia has surpassed $200 billion, a more than 1,000-fold increase compared to the less than $200 million in trade when diplomatic ties were first established. China has been Malaysia's largest trading partner for 16 consecutive years and remains a major source of investment. Malaysia is also China's second-largest trade partner in ASEAN and its largest source of imports from the region. While continuing to strengthen cooperation in traditional sectors, China and Malaysia have also expanded their collaboration in emerging fields such as digital technology, green and low-carbon initiatives, and high-end manufacturing. With the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership now in effect, market access between the two countries has further expanded. Malaysia has participated in the China International Import Expo in Shanghai for 7 consecutive years, with Malaysian produce such as durian, mangosteen, and palm oil gradually making their way onto Chinese tables.
You were in Shanghai to attend the 7th CIIE and also launched the Malaysian Pavilion. And I saw you there talking and exchanging ideas with exhibitors who are showcasing their products and services ranging from durian gelato to healthcare. So how do you see platforms like CIIE in facilitating Malaysians' access to the vast Chinese market?
So, you have this initiative by China, CIIE, import exhibition, where they showcase the tremendous success of the Chinese companies and products. But at the same time, they give avenues to smaller products from smaller countries or major products so that the Chinese would also be able to select and support. This is what I mean, shared, value, shared future that the President is talking about. Is through action that you actually, the government take the initiative to support a program to encourage Chinese industries and players and Malaysian or the other from other countries to participate.
Because you were there, Mr. Prime Minister, is there some particular Malaysian products or services that you are really passionate to highlight there?
Okay, Malaysia has been able to progress in a higher end of technology, including semiconductor, which we are becoming a major attraction and hub for the region. But then we have some edge, for example, in terms of what is popular in China, including bird's nest or durian, and some of these products are well received in China. Either food or F&B or even technological pursuit, which is remarkable feat also for a developing economy.
Talking about durian, actually in August, the first shipment of 15 tons of fresh durian arrived in China, and that is the first time large-scale fresh durian entered the Chinese market. And luckily enough, I was among one of the customers, and I've got to say, yes, the fresh durian tastes even better than the frozen ones. Wow. So how do you think that reflects the broader sense or the broader economic relations between our two countries?
You see the openness, the willingness to adjust and accommodate our request. Because initially, of course, it's only frozen durian. And frozen durian is, of course, exquisite and delicious. But you taste the fresh durian, is going to be the super exquisite. And,
I agree.
That's why I think in diplomatic relations, bilateral relations, the issue of trust and respect is important. I feel comfortable to make the request. I mean, after, of course, our foreign ministry officials and trade and investment ministries have done their work. So we were successful, and I think there's a huge potential, unbelievable the interest and on durian by Chinese, and I think great future because already I think we crossed almost to 1 billion.
Wow.
It is huge potential. And that's probably a small part, because 1 or 2 provinces in China. Can you imagine we can get to 10 provinces? then it is going to be,
Enormous.
yeah, enormous.
Right.
Just durian, of course, but I think we shouldn't end at durian.
During your speech at the opening ceremony of CRE, you quoted a Chinese saying, 前人栽树,后人乘凉. So, in what way does this Chinese philosophy align with your vision for the future? And maybe together with the joint efforts of the international community, what kind of trees do you want to plant and what kind of shade do you want to create for the future generation?
You see, we in our generation have to think of the future. And what the seeds we plant now will determine not necessarily that we can benefit from it immediately, but then is to plan for the future. Then it is a wide range. As I said, in Malaysia, it is of course semiconductor, energy, green energy potential for export, and of course then some food products. And these are areas that we should continue. But some of these are not are planned and to be ripe, say in 3 years to 5 years or even more. That's why I think that tree philosophy works well.
Mr. Prime Minister, Malaysia is going to launch its chairmanship of ASEAN for 2025, while placing inclusivity and sustainability at the forefront. How does Malaysia plan to engage with various member states to enhance community building and tackle global challenges in an ASEAN context?
You see, our focus for ASEAN would include, of course, political stability, effective collaboration between countries, even dealing with somewhat more precarious, slightly contentious issues.
Well, Prime Minister Anwar, China and ASEAN announced a substantial conclusion of the negotiations on the version 3.0 FTA. How will the country facilitate the timely signing of this upgraded protocol?
We have now accelerated the process. Meetings among officials is ongoing, and we are quite confident that we could cement that sort of understanding by next year. You see, we happen to be, other than ASEAN, we're also the country coordinator between ASEAN and China.
Yes.
So we will do whatever is necessary, not only to facilitate, but to accelerate the process. And I think, therefore, I am, quite optimistic.
Actually, during our interview last time, we talked about Confucianism because you have expressed great appreciation for Chinese cultural and philosophy heritage, especially Confucianism. And also, I noticed that in your recent speech for Budget 2025, you quoted another Chinese saying, which is 过而不改,是谓过矣. What kind of values and philosophies from Confucianism resonate the most and have impacted your thinking of governance and maybe leadership as well?
To me, is if you read Lun Yu, the Analects of Confucius, the strength, of course, in humanity. And in what we do to maintain this equilibrium of a balanced community, of Chongyung, of the medium means. If you have understanding, that you realize there's so much wisdom in the sayings of the teachings of Confucius. I don't find anything contrary to my understanding of life and vision and humanity. Because you read, you can realize there's so much focus on values, on character, on integrity, which unfortunately is a deficit in this world, particularly of politics these days.
Among all these very sophisticated philosophies, is there one proverb or one value from Confucius that really stand out to you, sir?
Some I have popularized, but what is important is, of course, also the principle of reciprocity. That means what you don't want to be happening to you, you should not do it to others.
Right.
I mean, there's a very basic human principle, what is right. That's why we reject injustice or preach hatred or colonialism or arrogance, because there
or
is
protectionism.
Or protectionism. Yeah, precisely. Well, our position is consistent. You talk about free trade, it's free trade, you see. You don't use then some delicate mechanism to deny, particularly others, when they seem to be excel in the innovation or technological strength. I believe that we should share in Kazan, and I followed the speech by the president closely. He also stressed about global security, global governance, but beyond that, about culture civilization, but the sharing. I mean, this is to me something remarkable. It's not just like aid program and those days you call aid as imperialism, where you use this some form of assistance to control and dictate.
Right.
We don't find that. We request training or education. There was no imposition of any particular policies. Either we agree or we differ, but out of respect. You talk about shared future,
Right.
and you have to do it. So you have seen measures, either the Belt and Road Initiative or some other programs that's being introduced by the Chinese government, and more importantly, to be able to have frank exchange and interaction internationally is amazing. I mean, the focus in Africa, in ASEAN, in Latin America, and consider all these countries, big or small, as equals, and just focusing on economic sustainability, climate responsibility for a shared future.
Each day, there are millions of stories. Each one can open new perspectives, new possibilities. Wherever you look, we are there to see, discover, explore. We put the pieces together to find what really matters to you, all around the world, all around the clock. Our reporters are at home across the globe. From our headquarters in Beijing and production centers in Washington, Nairobi, and London. Stories from across the globe, reaching people across the globe. CGTN. See the difference. Facing the unknown is always difficult. In a world in turmoil, it's easy to lose orientation. CGTN.
Calling all traders. Want to compete for thousands of dollars without risking anything? Join
Shared respect, shared value, shared future that you just mentioned. So how do you interpret the significance of those global initiatives proposed by President Xi, which includes the Global Development Initiative, the Global Security Initiative, as well as the Global Civilization Initiative in maintaining world peace and propelling global development?
Yeah, I mean, there are three fundamental pillars. For example, global security, and saying that, look, we strengthen to help one another. Not to bully and torture one another or kill, like you see in Gaza. And in terms of global prosperity or economy, we are talking about enhancing trade, investments, and where necessary to help and assist. And precisely the message was very clear. And third, he mentioned about this issue of culture and civilization, which is again rare you see among leaders who also express this. And he said, yes, but there will be differences, but we should respect the differences and understand that cultures vary, civilizations vary. This is something unique. We have leaders who talk about economic fundamentals, fair, sustainability, or climate, but very few do touch on the issue, the need to understand values, cultures, and civilization. And this is where I think I'm very passionate about it, and I think this is where we both concur. We certainly welcome such positive gestures, I think, for the good of humankind. And it's important. To me, it's a remarkable feat. to have a president of a great country, focusing the need to understand one another, to respect other cultures and civilization.
You've met with President Xi before and also exchanged letters with him. What kind of leader does he appear to be in your eyes?
Well, from a distant observer, of course, he's serious and action-oriented. But when you get to know one better, then you realize the passion, the humanity, the friendship, which to me is remarkable. I mean, outstanding. I think I see him after meeting 3 times or so, more like a friend that we can exchange and share our views. And the respect accorded, I mean, after all, Malaysia is relatively a small country compared to China. But the respect accorded, which is to me is a remarkable feat of a man, not in terms of pragmatic considerations or just economic or trade, but then again, I said the fundamental concern about human values and respect.
Well, speaking of the devastating war in the Gaza Strip, and Mr. Prime Minister, you've been a dedicated advocate of the Palestinian cause. Well, taking into consideration the latest developments about what is really going on there, why do you think achieving a ceasefire remains so challenging there? What kind of efforts do you think the international community can work towards achieving peace talks and ceasefire?
I think, to be fair to the Arab countries, to Islamic countries, to United Nations, they have exhausted all possible avenues for now. It's just the plain arrogance of Israel, unfortunately backed by the United States, to allow them to continue. This is an issue of colonization. And I find it mind-boggling to see some of these comments who just refuse to understand. But no one, for rhyme or reason, has any basis to support killings of civilians, women and children.
How do you assess the role of China in this process in facilitating peace talks and promoting reaching a consensus?
No, China have been very consistent in their position. Nobody should question the fact that they have been consistent, saying, look, you must resolve this, immediate ceasefire, stop the killings, and accept and acknowledge the legitimate aspirations of the Palestinian people, including the state of Palestine. I think they have done maximum possible, and they have been very consistent in every single major speech on international relations.
And also, Malaysia and China has agreed to jointly nominate line dance to be listed on UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage. And you must know that's kind of a special dance usually performed during the Chinese Lunar New Year and some other traditional festivities. So how do you think this joint nomination reflect the enhanced cultural exchanges and mutual understanding between our two countries?
Ignore the fact in Malaysia, lion dance in always every single function. They don't wait for the lunar year. Every single function, if I have particularly the ethnic Chinese community, I will receive a lion dance. And never mind the noise, but then it's enriching our culture.
Very cheerful atmosphere.
Yeah, Malay Muslims are the majority, but then it's part of the culture. We do accept it and embrace it. So when it comes to jointly with China to promote a lion dance, it doesn't come as a problem at all.
And China has also extended its visa exemption travel for Malaysians until the end of 2025. And Malaysia reciprocated with similar policy to Chinese citizens. So how do you see the significance of that?
It is extremely, largely significant because it has then propelled a number of tourists from China, also from Malaysia, but mostly from China because it's a big country, huge population. I think the 186% increase till September this year, October this year. So it is something which is of a great and immense help to tourism industry.
Prime Minister Anwar, last but not least, I want to ask something a bit more personal. You have experienced many ups and downs in your political journey.
More downs than up.
But what do you consider to be your biggest source of motivation, especially you just mentioned in those down moments?
Well, I'm very fortunate. I have a lovely wife and a great family who stood by me during all the times of tribulations. But personally, at a level other than that, you have this courage, conviction, you have a tenacity of purpose, you know what you want to do. I think Malaysia is a great country, has enormous potential, resources. It's a beautiful country, it's an excellent destination for tourism, for example. But we need responsible leaders, good governance, clarity of policies to affect change for the future.
Mr. Anwar, thank you so much again for giving us this opportunity, again for this interview, and greatly appreciate it for sharing with us your very insightful views.
Thank you very much.